Hello! Good day to our USANA family. At this digital age, when we are bombarded with so many communication strategies and information on how we can get across prospects and loyal customers, we need the how. Let's hear one of our best practices from the associate in the Philippines and find out how did she go about attracting new customers and keeping them, and be a trusted advisor. Rita has a strong sense of persuasion skills considering her background in sales. At a young age, she has been an entrepreneur and even starting USANA later in her years, she still managed to connect with loyal customers, earning her the right of top PC enroller. She also has a fan page on Facebook and Instagram, Rita Vibes. Friends, please welcome Ruby Director Rita Baltasar.
Thank you, Joyce. Hi, my name is Rita Baltasar. Welcome to today's presentation, Effective Customer Communication. When I was asked to speak on this topic, I decided to share my personal experiences in the field of sales and marketing. I have spent 34 years of my working life in sales and marketing, with 15 years working in the United States. I think it is safe to say many people do not aspire to work in sales and marketing, as it requires field work, prospecting, and rejection. On my part, I can truly say that I will always choose sales instead of an indoor office position. For me, field work means discovering new places, prospecting opens doors to new people, and rejection, simply another way to learn. I found excitement in meeting new people, and I learned so much about different things through interaction. Best of all, I had great joy when my customers were happy with the product and services. Sales and marketing has also different rewards through the additional perks in commissions and special bonuses with the free trips. Now, let me share my personal learnings with you, along with a few stories and anecdotes about my background. I will share how my background in music helped me navigate the world of sales. Listening. Listening is an action, and it can be very selective. As an example, we hear music, but we still select what type of music we want to listen to. But I believe listening is a very important skill used in communicating. When I think of listening, I think of music because I studied and played piano for 19 years, graduating with a degree in music. Listening to me was both for instruction from my piano teachers as well as listening to the actual music itself. I do believe that my exposure to music developed certain skills which helped me navigate the world of sales. Now, I am not saying that you need to study piano. However, you do need to develop good listening skills, which is very important for effective communication. For example, even dancing is another way to practice listening. You listen to the music and you dance accordingly to the beat and the melody. Now, let's look at active listening skills. Listening skills is something that is not stagnant, it's active, so you have to work on it and practice. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Just like piano, you can learn the music, you can play it, but you cannot really perform without many hours of practice. Perhaps that is why I never get discouraged with rejection. I look at it as learning from the mistakes and practicing it again over and over until I get it right. As a musician, the culmination of my music course, or the thesis, was a 2-hour performance. A graduation concert showcasing music from Bach to Mozart, Chopin, and a final concerto with a full Philharmonic Orchestra. We were 65, plus me, the pianist, and the conductor. We were all musicians with different instruments, but we all read the notes. We practiced together, listening to each other, and then the harmony was done. In the world of effective customer communication, I would say, beautiful music is created with each instrument in the orchestra, but in the world of effective communication, music to your ears is actually what? Your offer is gladly accepted and there is an exchange. There is a trust. They accept the cost and conditions of your offer. So when you hear music to my ears, that means it's a wonderful melody. In business, the sound could be phones ringing, text messages, ordering, giving credit card details, or the customer excited, telling you how lucky he feels having dealt with you. The customer wants to share the product with friends. So to me, music to my ears when the response is positive, just like pure harmony between the buyer, the seller, and the supplier. Effective communication. Simply put, it's the process where the sender presents views in a manner that is understood by the receiver. For example, a courtship, from introduction to the actual consent to date. Prospecting is very similar to courtship. You decide on the ideal person and then proceed to find ways to develop a relationship that will lead to the goal you had in mind. How many of you still remember your first crush? You found so many ways to get to see that person. You even make friends with people that are close to that person just so that you can get a little bit closer to your first crush. How about all your earnest efforts to set a date? How about the prom, the flowers, and eventually the first kiss? Sometimes don't even succeed in getting to date that particular person. But I ask you, did you ever stop asking another person out? Even breakups or divorces, they don't end there. There will always be the desire to hook up, to meet up, and find another person. While there is always the first love, I always say there's always hope. There is always the right person meant for you. But you will never meet that person without any effort. Sales and marketing is pretty much the same. It requires prospecting, setting that appointment, and then the actual date. Effective communication will ensure you that you'll be able to set the appointment. How many times did you make an effort to reach the prospect? Even when you are rejected, you simply shrug it off and find another prospect. So that's very similar even for a date. How about the shopping activity where the salesperson is able to serve the needs of the shopper and complete the sale? However, without effective communication, it will never happen. A shopper that enters a store is like a warm market in the sense that the prospect is looking for something. A referral is similar to that, entering a store, because there was no effort on your part. However, warm markets or referrals still have to be nursed to the goal of a transaction. Let me tell you, have you ever gone shopping and entered the store where you found something, called the salesperson to ask certain details about what you were wanting to buy? And then the person just says no, and the person could not serve you. Worse still, they shout out and call another salesperson to try to help you. In the end, it's so annoying. Did you decide to buy anything, or did you just decide to leave? What was the reason? The salesperson was unable to satisfy the shopper. Therefore, there was no communication. We call it a breakdown. Another example of effective communication is between a child and a parent. Interacting. Children are very smart. They know from early on how it is when they want to get something. So they know how to communicate. In the beginning, they're just crying when they're younger, but after a while, they start reasoning out. Just to show you that the communication can be as pure as a child and a parent. As a single mother, I clearly remember how important it was to keep my word with my son. Whenever I couldn't make it, I had to let him know, and I would apologize. To this day, I am very happy because at 34, he will still call me. Even if I don't really like hearing what he's saying, it's not that pleasant, or if he has any problems or whatever issues, he lets me know. And that to me is a successful, what I call effective communication with my son, because to this day, he communicates with me. One of the things I still remember that I had promised him was to take him to Disney World in Orlando and another famous zoo in Australia. Maybe one of these days, when everything is good, I will go. Now, in a competitive world of sales, your character and integrity sets you apart. Being trustworthy and reliable contributes to the retention of customers. These people that you retain is easily connected for them, referring others to you. Being effective means you retain your customers and clients, and they continue to feed you with referrals and introduce you to their friends and family. Now, when you think of customers, what comes up to your mind? You must think of customers as people that would benefit from your products and services. In my viewpoint, I always think of customers as people in need of something, but mostly wanting to be heard and understood. I make it a point that I'm there to listen to better serve them. One of the big influences in my understanding and appreciation of sales and marketing was my father. Many years ago, my father was employed as an engineer in successfully operated newly acquired U.S. machinery in the Philippines. Later on, he was scouted by the U.S. company that had owned the equipment to represent them for the Philippines and Southeast Asia. There was an immediate shift from being an employed engineer to an engineer handling sales and marketing and getting a new compensation for the sales generated. My father showed me how salespeople are professionals. He said every business thrives in sales. He said even doctors and lawyers promote and sell themselves while golfing or being members of country clubs. He said most companies, if not all businesses, hire sales department. The key is to be the best salesperson. So taking what my father said to heart, I was confident enough to venture and get employed after graduating with a college degree in music. I managed to find work through referrals from friends. While a referral opens the door, the assurance of a job still required presenting yourself and communicating with your employer. Every company needed sales to continue operating. And since I embraced sales with the discipline to learn and get the best results, I got the job done. Sales indeed is the lifeline of a business. Even when I moved to the United States, sales work was still in abundance, and companies provided special training for sales associates. What you see is what you get. It only takes a few seconds, your appearance, your facial expression, your manners, for a person to even decide if they're going to listen to you or not. Your attitude, your eye contact, handshake, proper greetings, all this is all crucial when you're meeting a prospect for the first time. My advice, do your homework. Every nationality, every country has certain cultural nuances. Do your homework and be prepared. Dress accordingly, be early, and remember to smile, and of course, listen. Listening reduces the chance of miscommunication. You avoid making assumptions that may create anger, resentment, and negative emotions. I remember my son. He said, "Mom, you're not listening." Because as a mother, all I wanted to do was be a mother and tell him what he needed to do. But as he got older and he kept explaining it to me, I realized it. And I took that to heart and I made sure that I practiced that in my work. And it worked. So I always say, better to ask questions, better to listen, than assume and start answering. And then there are the nonverbal communication, the eye contact, the smile, the gestures, the nodding, hand movements. You need to practice all of this to express yourself. You can try having a friend take pictures of you, a video, take pictures of your different facial expressions when you're talking. And then from there, when you see it, it's easier for you to understand where you need to change. I call this hold my hand and lead me. What do I mean by that? Well, people want to be heard. So I call this the cornucopia method. Think of it as a hearing aid that emphasizes the importance of hearing. The cornucopia has a small thing for the ears and it's so big. So you gather all the information, everything that they're saying. And as you are listening,
You repeat the question or objection, and you give yourself a few seconds to think, organize your thoughts. See, when you repeat it, you're giving yourself a chance to organize your thoughts. It also gets the other person to confirm or clarify or question or object to what you are clarifying. Then, of course, if you still are wanting to be a bit more sure, ask positively. Asking positively is acknowledging the other person's concern. It also can lead to the person engaging in a conversation with you. Ask questions that elicit a positive response. For example, is health important to you? Is skincare part of your day? And then when it comes to the response, when you do respond because you listened and asked the questions, you will be able to better respond and satisfy the person's questions and objections without thinking of yourself. See, if you're thinking of the other person and you forget yourself, there is no sales pitch. You respond by repeating the positive answers to your questions. And then you start summarizing the best responses that this person has agreed with you. So I call it, it's like holding his hand to lead the person to the decision. Remember this, convincing others is not effective when you are doing all the talking. Now, key points. As usual, most importantly, listening. But listening requires a lot of practice until it becomes a habit. I know for one, I took up music, I learned how to play the piano, but I could never perform if I didn't practice. So they say practice makes perfect. Even when you learn a song or a dance, you still need to practice. Even famous groups like BTS, they practice every day. My goodness, the discipline that they have. But look at their performance. So, for some people, dancing and singing come naturally and will require less practice. For others, it will require more practice. But one thing for sure, if you really want to be a professional, it requires a lot of practice. But the important thing is the desire and the discipline to practice. Responding only improves with good listening skills. Remember, it's not just your words, it's how you say it. With your body language, together with the choice and delivery of words. And then another thing that you have to remember, personal growth. Personal growth are the things you do and the life you lead when you are not working and you're not in front of your prospect. The friends you keep, the books you read. So you've got to make a point, if you want to improve yourself, make it a point to learn from experts, to read books, to listen, to learn, and then to make it a part of your life. One thing for sure, you have to be authentic, transparent, and trustworthy. And lastly, character and attitude. There will be many rejections. That's all part of the process. But you must learn how to react. Remember, rejections are simply there because there was a breakdown in the communication. As I said earlier, I look at rejections like, you keep on practicing and practicing piano until you get it. So, when there's a rejection, I sort of think, oh, what did I say? You know what you said, you know what you did, or did not say. So make note of that and learn from that. Finally, always remember, do what is right and ethical. It makes life easier than having to deal with unrealistic expectations. Avoid unending explanations, because you give unrealistic expectations. So the key factor to communicating is avoid promising, over-promising, and not, being unethical. And last of all, sales and marketing, the one thing that you can be sure of, creates an income that you can decide for yourself. It is worth all the blood, sweat, and tears. Listening is very important. Practice makes perfect. Rejection is part of the whole process. So with that, I thank you for this. Good day.
Thank you, Miss Rita. Yes, I agree that one of the most forgotten skill in communication is listening. The tips were very practical and yet very important. I do hope our dear associates out there got the skills and the vibe needed for effective communication. Till next time, bye!